Hi.
Tiger Talk brought to you by String Beans Coffee House on Lower Main in Princeton, Hancock's Neighborhood Market on Commerce Street, and Katie's Delicious Homemade Goodness, and Perry's Floors and more. And good morning at 8:05. Welcome to Tiger Talk on your hometown radio station, WPKY, The Tiger. And as we head closer to the primary here on May 22nd, we are attempting to get as many as the candidates in here as possible running, that might be involved in any race involving Caldwell County and when you go to the polls. So have the pleasure of welcoming into the studio this morning two of our candidates. First one is up at 8 o'clock. It's George Kilgore. He's a Democratic candidate for Magistrate here in Caldwell County in District 4. And then following that at 8:30, around there, Tracy Turner, who's a candidate for Judge Executive, will be here also. She's a Democrat. So, George Kilgore, welcome. How are you, sir? Good to see you today.
I'm doing well today. How are you?
All right. We're doing well. It's gone from winter right into summertime as
No
West
spring.
Kentucky. No spring. But it's so nice to see you here. And
Yes, sir.
we're just a few short days from the primary here in Kentucky.
Exactly, less than 2 weeks.
So welcome, and
Yes.
let's get going. And do want to preface everything and just say that, this is not a grilling question and answer session here for any of our candidates that'll be here. I mean, I might ask some questions,
Sure.
but this is more about this is who I am, this is my background, this is why I'm running, and you can talk about anything you want. So take it away, sir, George
All
Kilgore.
right. And thank you. What a awesome opportunity it is to be able to, and for you to allow it for all the candidates to be able to, and thank you to the radio station in Ty. My name is George Kilgore. I'm a 58-year-old resident, lifelong resident of Caldwell County. I was born and raised in the southern part of the county, out in the Eddy Creek community. My parents were and are Francis and Betty Jean Kilgore. My grandparents were Oscar and Lillian George from that area. Grew up on the family farm out there. My dad's family was the Kilgore family from Lamasco, come down from that area. I was born and raised on a dairy farm, and that was my life for the first good portion of years, waking up early and milking them cows and going into that. So that's kind of a little background on where I come from in this area. As I've been out campaigning over the last few weeks, I've been asked some questions. I thought I might just try to answer some of those on the air today for you, Ty.
Okay.
First of all, what is a magistrate? It's kind of surprising. People that have voted for years may not know exactly what all it involves. So my basic answer is that's someone that represents you on the fiscal court. We vote for people to represent us in Frankfort and Washington and all. This is your representative on the fiscal court that handles the operation of the county government, anything county-wide services that would pertain to you. Also, some of the concerns I've been hearing, probably the number one most concerned people are questioning about is transparency in government. And I agree with that. You as a citizen, you as a voter, as a taxpayer, need to know what's going on in your county government. And if I'm fortunate enough to be elected to that, there's some things that I've already started doing and preparing for that, and some ideas that I have if I was to be elected. First of all, starting right after I announced, I started doing a weekly Facebook Live session. I'd never done anything like that, but I wanted to let the voters know who I am, where I stand, and I've done 11 of those so far. And if you have a question of anything of the positions I have or my interpretation of county government or how it works, go back and look at that. It's on my Facebook page, George Kilgore. And if I'm elected, I'd like to do that after the meetings. After every meeting that we have is to come on and just let you know what happened at those meetings. And that would be my goal, to continue that. I think it would be good to create a Facebook page for myself as Magistrate George Kilgore, just strictly for that, where anyone can join. When you're on your Facebook page, you have people that you know and your friends on that, but this would be open to the public. Anybody would have access to join that and keep the community posted through that as an individual magistrate of District 4, and it would be for magistrate business only. And also with that, the magistrates do get the agenda and the items to be discussed at the fiscal court meetings before the meeting starts. I would want to publish the agendas where you could get on there and see what's coming up, what the fiscal court is going to be discussing during the upcoming meetings. I don't know how to do this, but I think Caldwell County needs a web page where all the information about the county and maybe even reports on fiscal courts. Again, I'm not sure how to do that, but someone can, and as a court, I think that would be important to get the word out about what's going on in our community. Over the last few months, I've had sessions where people could come meet me. I've done that at McDonald's and Casey's both, advertised that out and said, hey, come and talk to me. If you have any questions about where I stand, my positions on things, come and talk to me. And I've had some people to do that, and I hope to have a couple more of them before election time, where if you have a specific question, if I missed you at your house, I've tried to catch you. It's hard to catch people at home. People are so busy these days, and if you haven't had a chance to talk to me one-on-one, come on out to one of those, and I'll be announcing them probably about the first of the week and have those again. One thing that's been asked is about the meeting times, that people can't get to the meetings. As a magistrate, I would be one vote on that. All 5 would have to vote to change the meeting times. I'm certainly not opposed to meeting at different times where it's more convenient. But one thing I could do as a sitting magistrate, even if the court did not meet at night, I could have a session there at the courthouse for people to come in and bring their concerns and talk, bring them up, and just have a chance where they could come in and meet me there at the courthouse. And maybe if that happens, some of the other magistrates or judge might join in with that if they're not willing to begin with. But again, as your magistrate, I think the number one thing is to represent you, to listen to your concerns and bring them to the court. I think it's good to have the magistrates ought to have a really good working relationship with the county judge, where if someone catches me out somewhere, they can say, hey, I think this is wrong, or I'd like to see this done, where you can go in and sit down with the judge and see if you can come up with a proposal. And if not, go ahead and bring that to the fiscal court, bring it out into the open with that. I've always had a good working relationship with the media outlets here, the radio station and the newspaper. I think it's very important to keep the information out to the public on that. Again, I think as a magistrate, I would want to treat everyone fairly and equally. If you come to me with a concern, there may be some reasons you can't do some things. The county is bound by state regulations, federal regulations on things. Some things pertain to the city itself and not the county, that the magistrates may not have any direct say-so. But I think it's maybe a coward's way out to say, I don't have anything to do with that. If we don't, I think it's important to explain to the community, to the voters, why you might not be able to. And even though I can't do anything about it, I know somebody that's involved with the city government. I know somebody at the state level. I know somebody I can go to on your behalf and express your concerns. So that's some of the things I've heard out, questions, and just wanted to address those for a minute with you.
All right. And of course, those are very good concerns. Of course, a lot of people just want to know, I've been to several fiscal court meetings, and we talk about transparency in our government, but this is what I've noticed, and again, it might be because of the time, it might not be by the time, but you don't see a lot of the public at the fiscal court meetings.
Right.
The opportunity is there.
Right.
But, they, again, a lot of, it's usually, I think, at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, people work.
And people work. But I'm sure there are people that have an opportunity to be there that just don't choose not to go.
Right.
But tell us a little bit about why you run for office. Why what do you want to do?
Well, I would want to serve this community. My background has been in service and public service throughout the years. From my teenage years on, I've been active in a lot of different activities, civic groups, church groups, school groups, clubs and team support, and a lot of things in the community. This is one way that I can give back some more to the community. When I first found out that this position was going to be open, when the current magistrate is looking at another office, I thought that is something I know. I know the responsibilities of it. I know the regulations, and that's something that I could do. I feel like I've already been trained in that. I know what the job is. I held the position for 17 years before. I am a former magistrate. I know the regulations that go with it, and with the way things have set up, there's 4 members of the fiscal court. 2 of those are running for judge this time. So next term, there will be half the court will be new court members. I feel like my experience with that will be an advantage. I won't have to start in from scratch. I'll already know the basics of what's going on. And again, whenever the seat become available, I said, hey, I'm gonna try that again. If the community would like for me to serve, I'm willing to do. First day, I went down and filed. There wasn't any question that I know I can do this job if the community sees fit to put me back in there. So that's kind of where I come from as far as deciding to run again.
Okay. Let's take a quick break. We're about 15 minutes into the hour here. We'll take a quick break, and we'll come back. We're talking to George Kilgore. He's one of the Democratic candidates for Magistrate in District 4 here in Caldwell County. We'll be back here on Tiger Talk. You're listening to your hometown radio station on WPKY, The Tiger.
String Beans Coffee House in downtown Princeton specializes in made-to-order espresso drinks. Stop by Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to noon and enjoy a pick-me-up. You can also enjoy fresh-baked scones, homemade chocolate chip and oatmeal raisin cookies, and espresso brownies that'll keep you going all day long. They're also open on Saturday from 9 to 2. String Beans Coffee House on Lower Main in Princeton. Great coffee and more in a great atmosphere on Lower Main in downtown Princeton.
And we are back at 8:16 here on Tiger Talk. And Democratic candidate for Magistrate District 4, George Kilgore, our guest. The Democratic candidate for Judge Executive, Tracy Turner, one of the candidates coming up in the second half of Tiger Talk. So, George, go ahead.
All righty. Another thing was mentioned when I was out campaigning, as much property tax as I pay to the sheriff every year, y'all ought to be able to do anything you want to. There's a lot of that money that does not go exactly to the fiscal court for our operating budget. A lot of it goes into taxing districts. There are different taxing districts in this county that sets their own property tax. The sheriff collects that, and it goes back to them. The court doesn't have anything to do with that money. It goes into the individual thing. But the court does appoint members to these boards. There are a lot of boards that operate on behalf of the county and in place of the county. And with those boards, we do not tell them what to do, but we do make those appointments. I think it's important that that people know who's on these boards and what they are doing. Over the last few months, I've started attending a lot of these board meetings just to find out what's going on, and that would be my goal to continue if elected as magistrate, to have that information and knowledge of what's going on. The board members, most of these people are hardworking people that are trying to help this community, and it's hard to find people because most of them get no pay to serve on it. So another thing I would like to see, any openings in boards on our community and our county, that would be posted, and you have an opportunity to contact the judge's office and say, hey, I would like to serve on this board when an opening comes up. So I'd like to see us do that. Roads is an important thing for a lot of residents out in the county. We have over 350 miles of roads in Caldwell County. You may say, well, I didn't realize that. You know, you stretch that out, that's enough to drive to Louisville and back, just the roads that have to be maintained in our county. You know, I think it's important for the magistrates to know what their roads are, to travel them, and see exactly the needs there, and to be open for people to call you on that. Now, there is restricted monies that's used for road maintenance and protection, and that comes from a lot of the gasoline taxes that you pay every time you fill your vehicle up. So, you know, the roads is an important issue. I drove a school bus for 27 years here in the county and traveled most of the roads, and I guess it's one of those things, I've seen the good, bad, and ugly on that. Some of them get kind of rough at times, but it's important to maintain those. I guess as a side thing, I did work for the school district for 27 years. The question is asked me, what do you think about this pension situation in Frankfort? Again, the county would have anything to do with how that's set up, but a pension is a promise that was made to these workers. You know, I worked alongside school teachers for a long time, and they were promised their pension, and I know that's a situation the state depends on and is going to have to work out, but I do support that 100%. Serving as your magistrate at this point in my life, I have no other outside conflicts or jobs that would pull me away from that. I do drive a charter bus part-time. With that, the schedule is very flexible. Circumstances over the last year or so, I haven't been able to do much of that. And if I'm elected a magistrate, I'd be able to pretty much devote full time to doing that. Even with that job, they will call and say, "Hey, I've got this job, but would you like it?" I always have the freedom to turn that down. So I would have nothing drawing me away from serving pretty much as the magistrate in this area. I was talking a while ago about the experience. As I served as magistrate before, there were a lot of classes that I was able to attend. I have over 500 hours completed in local government issues approved and presented by the Kentucky Department of Local Government. With that, you go to these classes, you learn what the laws are, you learn what the state laws are, you learn how to create and come up with local ordinances and that. I have that training already. I would not have to go in and be trained to do all that. It deals with open meetings, with budgets and all. And a lot of during my 17 years of service, I was in on adopting and writing a lot of the ordinances that the county operates on at this time. With budgets, it's a budget time in the county right now. Now, that's a very important part of county government. You have to have the budget to present and to operate the county throughout the upcoming year. A few years ago, when I was on the court, the sitting judge passed away in office. At that time, the court appointed me as acting judge, and for 30 days, I served as acting judge of Caldwell County. And during that time, it just happened to fall during the budget time, and I was responsible and did put together a budget and presented it to the fiscal court for that year. So I do have the experience and knowledge of working with budgets, putting it together, and know what's going on with the budget process. I kind of look at, whenever you look for somebody to fill a job, if you're advertising for somebody at the radio station or any other business out here, most employers do look at the candidate's experience and their training and what they bring to the position. I hope that the voters of Caldwell County will look at the experience that I have and filling this position as magistrate, say, this individual, this candidate has 17 years of experience, over 500 hours of training in that, and will see fit to vote for me for that. I mentioned as I work for the school district, the last 10 years I was there, I taught school bus drivers on the regulations with that. I do have the experience of knowing the regulations, being able to look up and be handed a set of regulations from the state and understanding that and presenting it and to the employees or fellow bus drivers there. I think with the county, it's important for the magistrates and the judge to know all of the policies and procedures in the handbook, and also every department, everything that the county is over with, the magistrate should know exactly what is expected legally by the state and also by the local regulations, and see that that is adhered to on a daily basis. It needs some monitoring on that. And if it's not going the way that you as a magistrate or as a judge or fiscal court thinks it needs to be, you need to be able to go in and talk to the employees, go in and talk to the situation and correct that. I have that experience and knowledge how to do that because I've done it before for 10 years. During that time, our department was awarded the Training Department of the Year one year. So it's important to be able to understand those regulations, know them, and present them to the people that you are working with and work for the county. I've always been active in the community as far as activities for youth. I've been part of booster clubs, different civic organizations, senior adults, providing programs for them. I think it's very important that you do what you can for your community. I have that history. It's been a way of life. It's not something that's just due to me. And I would ask the voters to allow me to bring that back into the office of magistrate to be able to serve the community like that. The county works a lot of things with the city. It's good to have a working relationship. I think I've already had that in the past and can continue with that. Basically, another big thing, you want to draw industry, whatever you can, into the community. You want to help existing industry, the small business. I was talking about my family a while ago. I do have two sons. My oldest one, Tanner, is 26. He got out of school, went to college for a while, and was looking for a job. He was able to come back here and work at Treehouse. And it's important to have jobs in industry here that our kids can come back to and make a living at. And also, just recently, he started a small business of his own. I think as the county government, we need to do everything to support that. And I know what it takes to get into that. I've seen it firsthand recently, and to be able to support and help our small businesses. And my youngest son, Benji, just turned 20. He is a student at Murray State, looking to go into education. Training for our people coming back here, whether it's through the vocational school or offering college courses or whatever around here. I think it's so important to be able to promote that. I started out by saying I grew up on a dairy farm. I know what it is to work long hours. I know what it is to work hard for something. And I'm willing to do that if the voters of this district would see fit. I'm not going in making any promises. I've learned that sometime whenever on the outside looking in, it's easy to say, well, this is what I would do or this is what I wouldn't do. There's so many regulations there that sometimes bind you. All I can promise to you is to be honest, to be faithful, to be available, to be there for you, to keep you informed of what's going on in county government, to work hard for you, and to treat everyone equally and fairly. And I've always felt like if the county can do something to help an individual in the county, do it. It doesn't make any difference what area of the county. Even though I'm representing District 4, it would be a teamwork for what's best for Caldwell County, all residents, wherever you're at. Whatever walk of life you're from, everyone should be treated equally. Again, I feel like I have the qualifications, the experience, and training to serve, again, as magistrate in this district. If the voters of District 4 see fit, I would appreciate your vote and support. I want to be open. I want to be transparent. I want to be available to you. And again, I'm going to have a couple of more sessions where you can come one-on-one and talk to me and ask questions, specific questions about what you would like to see. So again, Ty, thank you for your time today. I hope that this maybe has answered some questions. And if not, if you have any, please contact me and we'll go for that. And if I've missed you, coming by your house a couple of times when I was out, it was kind of windy and rainy, and some of my information may have blowed off. You may say, he didn't even talk to me, but I have tried to.
Thank you so much for coming in today, George, and
right.
we appreciate you coming in and talking to the folks. That is Democratic candidate for magistrate in District 4 here in Caldwell County, George Kilgore. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Sir.
And stick
Thank
around
you.
to Tiger Talk, because we will have Tracy Turner in studio. She's running for Judge Executive Democrat, and she will be in studio here in just a few minutes. We're going to do a little transition period, and we will be back on your hometown radio station,